Hello everybody, my name is Garrett, and today I'm going to be showing you how to survive longer in Don't Starve, Reign of Giants / Don't Starve Together. I'll be going over base placement, base building, food sources, armor and combat, and sanity regeneration. Now before we get into the video, I should probably note that I am in no way a Don't Starve pro. I don't have access to blueprints in my head for every single efficient farm build and the best ways to maximize all my time and my base location and everything. These are just some tips that I've discovered through my many attempts and failures at surviving. Alright, so the first and probably most important decision you're going to make on your world is base placement. You're going to want to place your base relatively close to several things. One is a pig king. Pig kings are extremely useful because you can give them trinkets and meat, and he will give you gold in return. Which is extremely useful because you're not going to be able to mine gold the entire game. You also want to put your base relatively close to a swamp and a desert. Close enough so that you don't have to walk an extremely long way to get them. So that it's convenient enough to be able to go there without having to make a giant trip out of it. Now, you'll want to go to swamps because you'll want to be able to easily get the drops from tentacles, spiders, worms, and also reeds. The reason you want to put your base close to a desert is so that you can scavenge tumbleweeds in order to get twigs and cut grass when you're in a pinch. Now, sometimes tumbleweeds contain other things, but the two most common drops are twigs and cut grass, and that's why you want them. They're also a way to renewably get certain things that you can't normally get renewably, like gears, although they have a very small chance. For the gears, there's only a 1% chance of getting gears out of a tumbleweed. So, it's not the most reliable thing, but that doesn't matter very much because you're doing it for twigs and cut grass anyway. You don't have to, but I would highly recommend starting out to place your base somewhere near a savanna. You want to do this because you can put traps over rabbit holes, and when the rabbits come out, you'll have a renewable source of meat, which will be extremely useful in early game and just starting out when you don't have a lot of other easy resources for food. Lastly, you're going to always want to put your base inside some type of forest biome. So that can either be a deciduous forest, a birch forest, pine forest, or just a regular plains biome, as long as it has this grassy turf, because that way you'll be able to place trees and bushes and saplings and other things that you're going to need to plant close to your base. Now, after you've decided on a good location, it's time to start actually building your base. So, obviously you're going to need a fire pit and your crafting stations, so alchemy engines, prestidigitators, shadow manipulators, things like that. You're going to want to place these around your fire pit, so that way you can craft things at night. You're also going to want to place things like chests and other things you want accessible during nighttime near your fire pit so that you can easily access them during night. You're also going to want to have a lightning rod for spring so that you don't have to worry about lightning strikes, and an ice flingomatic for summer so that you don't have to worry about forest fires. Also, be sure to organize your chests. That will make it much easier and more efficient for when you need to grab items for crafting. Also, quick tip for getting ice for the flingomatic. Always be sure to mine your ice before summer starts. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem when you realize all the ice is melted and now you can't make a flingomatic and your entire base burns down. Be sure to dig up saplings, grass, and berry bushes and replant them by your base so that you'll be able to have easy sources of food and materials later on. Just remember that once you get to your base and plant down your berry bushes and your grass, you're going to need to fertilize them using either manure or rock. One of the easiest ways to get rot early in the game is to pick flowers and then leave them on the ground or in a chest and wait for them to rot. After they turn into rot and spoil, you'll be able to put them into your berry bushes to fertilize them. Just be sure to do this early on in the game, so that by the time you get berry bushes, you'll be able to have enough rot to fertilize them. For food, you're going to want to get a crock pot. Crock pots will be able to make your food much more efficient and a lot more filling. Now, I recommend reading the wiki, since there are a lot of crock pot recipes, and I'm not going to list a lot of them here. But the only one you need to know for now is meatballs. Now, to make meatballs, you're going to need 1 piece of meat, and 3 either berries, ice, or carrots. Now, put them in the crock pot and just wait for a little bit, and eventually they'll be done and they'll be ready to eat. Crock pots will give you a lot more than eating 1 piece of meat and 3 berries. So they're a lot more efficient, and they're going to fill you up a lot quicker. Now, since you're going to be using a lot of berries, you're going to want to get at least 10 berry bushes and plant them next to your base. Which means you're also going to need 10 fertilizer, so be sure to pick 10 petals so that you can have 10 rot. You're also going to need some drying racks. Now, just to start out, around 4 drying racks should be fine. You can place any type of meat on drying racks and it will dry into jerky. Either small jerky or regular sized jerky. Now, jerky lasts a lot longer than just raw meat, so you can place this into your food chest and it will last a lot longer, so you won't need to worry about meat as often. Or you can just eat regular sized jerky plain to regain a substantial amount of health. You're also going to want to craft an ice box using a board, some gold, and a gear. You can use an ice box to put any of the food that you are not currently using, and it will rot 50% slower, which will allow it to last a lot longer. And you'll be able to not have to do a lot of trips to get food if you combine this with using a drying rack to make jerky. Now that you're good on food, you're going to want some armor and a weapon. Now, one of the easiest ways starting off to make some armor that will be useful for you for all the way up until endgame, you're going to want to create a log suit using some wood and rope, and you're going to want to create a football helmet using pig skin and some rope. This will give you a lot of armor protection. You'll also want to make a spear because that's the easiest until you're ready to upgrade to a better weapon. If you want to get pig skin easily for the football helmet, you can just hammer a pig house. That way you won't have to fight a pig. It'll also give you some other materials. Once you're ready to upgrade to a better weapon, you're going to want to find some tentacles in the swamp biome. Now, most of the time, there will be worms or spiders next to the tentacle, which will probably have fought the tentacle, and you might be able to find some laying on the ground. If you didn't get very lucky, you can just tank it out. It's probably not the most effective method, but I'm sure if you've crafted your armor like I said before, you'll probably be able to do it much more effectively. Now on to sanity. If you need to regain some sanity in a pinch, then you can go into the survival tab and craft a straw roll using some grass and a rope. Then, when it's dusk or night, you can sleep in it to skip the day and go into the next day. Just be sure that you aren't equipping items that drain durability while you're wearing them, like a torch or a top hat. Which I just should not have done. Oops. And be sure that you're not hungry before you go to bed either. Now, in Don't Starve Together, the straw roll works kind of differently. You're going to be inside the roll, and it's going to be continuously draining hunger and making your sanity and your health go up over time. If If you want a more long-term solution, you can go into the Survival tab and craft a tent. Now, the same rules apply. You can only sleep in it during dusk and night, except it drains more hunger, and it gives you more sanity, and it gives you more health. Just be careful, the tent only has 5 uses before it breaks. You're also going to want to befriend Glommer by finding his statue on a full moon in the deciduous forest and picking his flower off of it. Once you're holding the flower, Glommer will follow you around. First full moon is on day 10, so be sure to watch out for that. When you're standing next to Glommer, he'll give you a sanity regain of 6.25 per minute. Occasionally, he'll also drop Glommer's Goop, which you can use to regain health, but get a big chunk taken out of your sanity. Just be sure not to kill him, otherwise you're going to have bigger problems than your sanity. Now, if you want a more long-term solution, you can go to the Structures tab. It's not the Structures tab. Shoot. Cut this out in the post. Okay,